Hi folks, my name is Ivan Kiergan, and today we're going to be doing a growth teardown of Telegram. To find more things like this, you can go to blog.yesgraph.com. And what we're going to be doing is digging in to understand how the app works as far as the different product features, virality, metrics, tracking, onboarding, everything related to growth. And if you want to do this for your app, just email teardown@yesgraph.com and we can dive in and figure out how you can grow faster. So let's start right at the top. I have heard about Telegram and now I want to go find it. So that usually starts with a search. That might be in Google, it might be in the App Store. The App Store is pretty terrible as far as discovery. And so starting with search, the question is, does the app even come up when you search for its name? It might be that something else is being the search target here, like free SMS, because it's a messaging app. And so it's pretty cool because their results are like right there. And so the app almost certainly has like pretty good optimization because it's so big as far as getting in the results. So I think there was something like 100 million users. And so Apple search is terrible, but eventually gets pretty high quality. And I don't know what the Telegram hack is, but seeing it on the list is kind of funny. So here's the app. And when you see something in the App Store, you can kind of judge it based upon a few different parameters. So first off, the ratings are pretty high, 4.5 stars. And so if you're down at like 3 stars, that's going to impact your installation rates. And so 4.5 looks good. It actually has very few reviews. So 110 seems small, but that's actually just for this version. And overall, there's many, many more reviews in the App Store. And the screenshots here are really important to get someone to get in. I mean, you have this icon, which is a paper airplane, which is sort of like a message being sent. And that's actually the first screen of the app. So it kind of anchors you on what you can do with the app. And right at the bottom, that call to action, start messaging, is just crystal clear. And even Telegram is a messaging technology that's like old. And so you already know what it's all about. And also, the other screenshot shows a bit more color and what the experience is like after you're deep into the app. And so it's also a lot better than the native sending experience. And so that's pretty boring, but this is all colorful. And so it's pretty appealing. So then when you're installing the app, it actually takes longer or shorter depending on how big it is and your connection. And this is actually really important. So you can actually dig in and find out exactly how to find out how big an app is by going into your settings on iOS and Android and something similar. And so 28 megabytes, 28.4, that's actually pretty small for an app. Some get much, much bigger and others are even more lightweight, but not much more lightweight. So if you compare it, like WhatsApp is 64, Snapchat 72, Facebook Messenger 77, and there's a bunch of others that I would compare it to, but WhatsApp I think is its biggest competitor. So small means that you grow faster because there's less hesitation. You don't have to worry about download plans like exceeding your data quota. You don't have to worry about drop off if somebody starts installing it but then thinks it's too long and decides to cancel it. Some people even look at the app size before they install. So smaller is better here. So here's the first experience in the app. And right off the bat, you can say, okay, just start messaging right off. But there's other things you could do to find out more about the app. And I'm actually usually against these onboarding messages because most people ignore them. I bet about 70% of people just click start messaging. And so as far as a marketer, you might think, oh, there's a lot of copy to optimize, a lot of things you could do there. But I think that actually it's really overblown and people just want to get into the app. Some people even argue that if your app needs a very long tour, then it's too complex. And so it's never going to be huge because people aren't going to understand it. So this is the next screen. We're just going to walk through all of these. So there's actually a really nice animation to get to this next one. It's really pretty. And what I like about a lot of their copy is that they focus on value, but not jargon. So in this case, they talk about speed. They don't talk about milliseconds or delivery rates or anything technical like that, or no numbers. Similarly, this next one, free, has no jargon, but I'm a little bit worried about it being free. I think, hey, what does it mean when an app is free? How is it making money? Is it going to still be in business? But most people don't think like that. They just like free. And recently, WhatsApp decided to take off their subscription fees. So I wonder if there's something going on there with competition among free apps where they just have to make money in different ways. The next slide is powerful. And again, there's no jargon. And as far as limiting data size and just focusing on the value to end users, which is a very good way to characterize things. Next one's secure, and it's a bit fear mongering as far as hacker tactics. So that's lame. Especially other sites do this in such a funny way. Like if you just add a lock to like that start messaging on the bottom there, I bet the conversion rate would be higher. People see that and they think security, and sometimes apps embellish this by saying bank level security or military grade security. But that's kind of bullshit. And so it's really just about peace of mind and the end user. None of this copy or iconography even matters as far as the actual security of the app, but saying it's more secure makes people more confident. Now, that's also cloud-based, which is funny because I think that it's a bit at odds with being secure. So it's like all my messages are somewhere else in addition to on my phone. It's like, okay. But then there's a bigger problem here is that this is the end. And so I could just keep swiping right and nothing happens. And that's lame. So they should probably make it so that if I swipe right, it executes the call to action. Like it'll actually just start messaging and take you where you need to go. And so that goes here, which is phone number sign up. People should be pretty familiar with this by now as far as getting people to sign up with your phone number. And so you type in your phone number and then, the app sends you an SMS to confirm it. It's kind of crazy. Apple, you should really make this easier. Like, why don't I use my Apple ID or some kind of Apple auth in order to tell the apps that are running on the platform who I am, like what my phone number is? Because Apple knows, the platform knows. And so something like, log in with Apple, that would be much, much easier than what a lot of apps do with sending SMSs, just really complicated. But unfortunately, you need to do it. So now this is the screen where you want to wait for the code. And so it comes in at the top. And so great, you just need to type it in. There's this weird thing with this call. I need to get a call in like a minute or two. I didn't understand that. I didn't need to do it. And so I didn't explore it, but I'm so curious. Like, what is that? I don't know. Another issue is that sometimes apps do this wrong. You want to make it so that the push notification that comes in from the top is visible, and I could type it in while it's visible. That's really important because otherwise I'm switching apps. Just think about the user experience if you miss that SMS notification. Like you need to go and go to a different app and find it, then come back to this app, and switching apps is like a big mess. It's really hard. And so if you make it easy just by having everything on one screen. All right, so this is the next screen where you want to kind of add more about information about yourself. And so there's a lot of typing here. Facebook Connect typically makes this easier. The problem is Facebook owns one of their biggest competitors, so I think they're a little bit concerned about that, like strategically, or their audience probably doesn't like Facebook that much. And here is it's funny because that add photo, it's kind of a call to action, but really it doesn't look like a button. And so this is called flat design as far as the way this looks. So flat design looks good, but it often makes it really hard to figure out what's an action. And so users sometimes have trouble knowing what they can click. And so these are called affordances. So if you look in the top there, it says back with that little arrow there. And that's a little embellishment that makes it more obvious what happens when you click it. It's less obvious what happens when you click next. And so basically they're saying we don't care. But there's, another side to this, which is that people that are using this will see their friends' profile pics and then they'll want to add their own. So maybe it's not important on this onboarding to get it done. You just want to get somebody in the app. You can unburden the flow from needing to have that step. Also, I tried to do it. I tried to add it, but it just clicked on it a bunch of times. Didn't work for me. So there's a bit of a bug there. And bugs are really important for large consumer apps because you just really need, the bar is so high on having a very high quality experience. It's best to have minimal features that are all incredibly high quality. So, okay, they instantly say you should turn on push notifications. And it's like, I'm not sure about that. Like basically there's no priming, and priming means is when you warn the user that something is coming. And so you kind of help them understand the why for it. But it might be that this is the best conversion rate. So oftentimes I'm giving these criticisms and really you should just test it and see. So I could easily be wrong. And then they do it again to access your contacts. And so, another instant request, and sort of like for a messaging app, maybe contacts make sense, but why not combine it and say like, oh, you want to send a message to your friends? Tell us who your friends are. Or you want to get messages? Turn on push so we can send you a message. And so that's why they do it, but they don't explain it really with any kind of priming. And by the way, if somebody says no to this, like don't allow, then to actually turn it on, the user would have to dig in deep into their settings. And so it's a bit of a mess. So you need to get this right, because basically anyone that says no to these things is never coming back. And so it's a really big deal in your onboarding. So, okay, this is what it looks like when you land in here. And it's like, what's going on here? Did I just land the crickets? Like there's nothing here. Like I have no chats. I'm in a chat view. See that little tab on the bottom? It says I'm in chats, but I've never used the app. Why would it say, why would it land me in chats? What are they doing? And they even say in this copy, start by pressing the pencil button or, going to the contact section. It's like, so start out by going somewhere else? Like what? Why would they do that? Like I don't know what to do. I'm not going to read that. And it's like, you're already telling me not to go here. It's very odd. And you can click edit there too, even though there's nothing. So just see what that looks like. See edit, you can click that and then go to done. And there's like, that's the thing you say when you're done. There's nothing to do, so you're automatically done. It's like click it and go back. It's like, okay, let's try something else. Let's try the new message there. And here are my contacts. So that's cool. There's a lot of things here. It's getting more colorful. Secret chat, new channel. I'm not really sure what those are. And so I'm not going to try them as a new user probably. And here are my friends, but only some of them. A lot of them are missing. And so, maybe that wasn't the right place to start to find my friends. Let's go in the contact section. And this looks a bit denser. And maybe if we scroll down, we'll find something more. And yeah, if you scroll down, you see the new potential contacts there where like they're not on the platform yet. So people above this are users that, are already on the app, and the rest are not there yet. And of course you have Amici's Pizza. I love that place. And so, by the way, this is where YesGraph can help. So YesGraph is an app that is a SDK that can actually power invite flow. And wouldn't it be great if we could just say, here are the top 5 friends you should invite? So this is what it looks like. So with these suggestions at the top, you can just auto-select those suggestions and then have the user click go. And it's a much better experience than the raw alphabetical list. So check out YesGraph. And so now let's say I do a search here and I try to find my wife. There's duplicates. YesGraph can help with that too. It really highlights, because there's no profile pic, how unclickable these entries are. It's really not obvious what happens when I click on one of those and what it'll do. There could be like a compose icon. There could be like a button. Could be something. Overall, it's very light and pretty and clean, but it also is not obvious. That's a bit of a problem. By the way, if you like this teardown, again, you could email us at teardown@yesgraph.com to find out how we could help your app grow. So, come invite us to tear down your app. So back in the contact list, let's message someone. So my friend Paul, he's awesome. Gonna send him a message. And now there's a bunch of things to do here. It's empty. So this is a good example of an empty state, but there's so much you could do. And so it's pretty clear. I could just start typing to him. And so the call to action is clear. And so, they just say basically start writing. What does the icon do? So you could attach a photo, but others things like location aren't too obvious. And so when you have the paperclip there, it's not clear that that would do that for location. And this is a general tension in mobile design for performance, because you have all these features that could be engaging, but adding all of them to make them obvious might make it very cluttered. And so you want to really be careful with which features you add. Like, how important is that microphone there compared to sharing location? Like, which is more important, voice messages or location sharing? It's really tricky to find out what's what, and it's a very limited interface, so you have to choose one. So sometime later, I'm messaging Paul, sending a bunch of messages, and Martin and I are super excited about the stickers. And then later on, I think like, okay, let's find another contact a message. Let's say I want to send Martin a message, and I search for Martin, and there's nothing. Like, that's odd. He's in my contacts. Where is he? It's a ghost town. And it's especially weird because if I'm in the composer view and search for Martin, there's nothing, like the new message view. But if I'm in contacts, there is something. So I see contacts in one and then not in the other. And that's really inconsistent and confusing. And this is very important, actually. It's really crucial to be able to send new users to help you grow faster, send invites to new users. And so if I do find Martin and I click on him, click that invite to Telegram, and now this is the invite link. Look at that, telegram.org/DL, which is download. It's not a custom link for me, which is really fucked up, actually. They're making so many mistakes just in this one URL. And I'm an outsider, so I don't know everything going on, but I know a few things. I know that they aren't tracking anything. I know they don't know when Martin clicks this link that he is Martin, so they have no idea I sent the invite. They don't know which invite channel I used, just that someone came in. They don't know where in the app I sent this invite from, so they don't know what is working well and what isn't. They can't customize Martin's onboarding if he's coming in from just a random link. And the attribution is going to be a mess because it just looks like somebody went to their website to download, not that somebody sent an invite. So what are they doing? Like, gotta track that. And ideally what this would be some kind of deep link that tracks every one-to-one invite to know exactly how many are successful, how many came from what channel. And then once they do sign up, they open up the app and use that link, you can customize the experience. So when Martin signs up, it could be like, hey, send a message to Ivan. Like, I'm right here. And instead, it's just going to be an empty user experience like I started with. What a mess. So I love the copy, though. So there's some things that are pretty cool. Like, let's switch to Telegram, and it's going to assume that I have a conversation with them. You know, there's some kind of back and forth, and this is basically saying, fuck it, let's get out of here, which is great. So this is what that looks like on the receiving end. This is now Martin's phone, and I'm a contact in his phone, so it says Ivan up there. And when I click that DL link, it goes to the App Store. So then it's back to this experience of an empty conversation. That's what I was saying before. They could have customized this experience, something with me, but there's nothing. Like, what about me? Like, what about the friend that invited you to the app? Shouldn't that be front and center? Anyway, Martin sends me a message. Confusingly, the message is another message. That's not some kind of notification. That's actually literally the message that's sent. And the push notification pulls me back into the app. This is really important for habit forming. So let's start talking about growth models. This is actually really, really important when it comes to understanding the growth of your app. So somebody messages a user, that user is re-engaged and then sends more messages. And those messages re-engage other users. And this is like a cycle. It just goes around and around and around and around. And that's really good. And when you take in new user acquisition into this, a new message can be sent to an existing user and it's re-engagement, or it's to a new user and then you acquire them, who then comes on board, and when they send messages as a user, they start to re-engage everyone else. So acquisition and re-engagement are very, very related in messaging apps. This is why I harp on these invite flows so much, because the more you could acquire new users, the easier that invite flow is, the more social the experience is, the better retention I will have. So this is why it breaks the flow. So you have a weak prompt to send where you just start me with crickets. I can't find my friends that are on the app. Sorry, I can't find my friends that aren't on the app. It's really important. And when I send them an invite, they don't track anything, and there's no customization for those new people when they come in. This is an app with 100 million users, so they're doing something right, but this is all pretty fucked up. They should change it. So back to the flow. Now we're happy. We're like sending each other messages, joking, fake messages like error 500 cannot send, and we're good to go. Now we're like engaged. So what else is there? If you go to the settings tab, the other big prominent tab on the bottom right, this is what it looks like. And it's actually really funny. The settings page is where you should look when you're looking at a product to understand where people had a fight, where the product team could not decide what to do. So they stuffed something in the settings page. So look at the username. I don't have one. That wasn't part of the onboarding. So what's going on here? Why is it that that's empty? Did they have it and remove it? Like, it's kind of a big deal. And so I'm starting to set a username, and luckily my weirdo name, Ivan Kirigan, is like always available. And some large networks, this is actually a pretty big deal, because on Twitter, they noticed that signups were going down because they wanted to figure out why, and they eventually figured out that the namespace of Twitter handles was filled up. So nobody could find handles for themselves, which is a bit of a mess. So now they need to suggest all these funky names for the 500 millionth user that signs up. Huge apps have these scale problems. And so what does this link do? That's kind of interesting. So it's like a link that I could send out, clicking on it, copies to the clipboard. That wasn't really that obvious. So now they have two ways of getting me to invite. One of them is to share my link. Another one is to send a direct message. So, you know, those are kind of at odds. It's really odd that they would have two different ones there. And so But this was from the settings page, so I presume most people, like, they just don't know how to do this. And it's a sharing opportunity, but it's overall weak. So now you have other things like this new channel. This is in a new message compose flow. And so new channel is kind of interesting because, like, what is it? It's for broadcasting, which this is interesting because it changes the model. Remember that messaging flow that I was saying before? A messaging channel, a messaging system, one user sends a message, re-engages another user, maybe sends an invite to a new user to send a message, and then they come on back in this wonderful cycle. Broadcasting is not like that. Broadcasting is very, very different. It allows for global content. It allows for one person to send to very many people to engage a large group of people all at once. So, when Kanye West says something crazy on Twitter, a bunch of people are engaged, even those that haven't signed up for Twitter yet. So broadcasting is pretty interesting. But what's it for? So here's YesGraphs. Join me on Telegram, I guess. Send me a message. Sure. Why not? So there aren't really many examples of this that I've seen. So maybe it's a new thing they're experimenting with. I'm not really sure why they do it. I get it that it could be a new growth channel, or maybe some of their customers are demanding it. I'm not sure. Maybe a channel will be something that is eventually how they make money. Like, you hear about Kik and Messenger and WhatsApp all experimenting with how businesses connect with people. So maybe my business channel is going to be how they make money. I don't know. So then you click, so if you click on that logo at the top, the icon for me, that takes me to this page. And so there's another link here. So telegram.me/YesGraph. And that's pretty cool. It triggers a share sheet. But this is now weird. There's an SMS invite flow for users. There's copy my username in the settings page. And now there's this native share sheet. That's not the same as copying to my clipboard. And it's weird because they really have all these different mechanisms to share, and they should all use the same one, which, YesGraph, we make that kind of flow. So I'm partial to this idea. And that's it. So there's a lot more we could discuss around different push notifications and different channels for signing up new users. But overall, I think this is already like 130 slides. And so thank you very much for listening. And we're going to post more of these. So go to blog.yesgraph.com for finding out more teardowns, or email us at teardown@yesgraph.com in order to get your app reviewed. Thanks.